Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's deck profile, which is something very, very different. This is a deck that I built over the course of like a couple months or whatever. Slowly been playing this, playtesting it, and it is probably one of the funnest decks I've played in a long time. It reminds me a lot of Pendulum Magicians because it's more of a combo deck than it is anything else. There's probably other variants that you can play with this. I used to play like a Raid Raptor variant that was really fun, but this is the best build that I've decided to play. It's like a Nightmare Link spam version of this deck. We'll just get right into the deck profile and you guys will understand. So my favorite one is Sapphire Swallow. So I'll explain each of these effects as we go along. So Sapphire, you can special alert from your hand if you control a winged beast on the field, and then you can summon another winged beast on the field. So if you have like if you have like a Sapphire, she's a winged beast. If you have her on field and you have two of these in hand, you can go ahead and use your Sapphire's effect and special them both from your hand. It's pretty crazy. You can just swarm the field with this guy, and then when it's used as a Xyz material for a winged Xyz monster, you can like attach Lyrilusc monsters in graveyard. So if you use say two of these guys, you can equip two Lyrilusc from grave onto the equip them as Xyz material to win monster. So it's really good for swarming and getting your Xyz materials onto your guy. Really amazing card. Moving on, the 3 Cobalt Sparrow. This is the Stratos kind of. When it's special summoned, you get to search for a Lyrilusc card, and then if it's Xyz summoned for 1 Xyz, it makes that card untargetable. So, makes your dudes untargetable and big. You also search with it, it's really nice. Turquoise, this is like your starter. If you control no monsters, you can special it from your hand, kind of like a Cyber Dragon. And then when it's special summoned, by any means, you can special summon a Lyrilusc from your hand or graveyard. So this is a really good effect. It's the only one that doesn't have like an Xyz material effect, but it is probably one of the better ones. I think that Cobalt's probably the best, and Turquoise is probably the second best, but that's just my opinion, These are kind of like extender, or not extenders. This is like a combo mid piece or whatever, Jester Confit. You just special it from your hand. No restrictions. You can just summon it from your hand for free. Amazing card. Just helps you get some monsters on field. Next, we're going on to starter cards. Kinkabio, I think this is honestly the worst one. I might cut this down to 2. I probably will. It's a really good card, but you have to normal summon it to get the effect, which really sucks in this deck, because this deck is pretty normal summon reliant. But if you can get past the normal summon, it's really good. So we're running a little mini Trickstar engine, so we're playing 2 Trickstar Nightshade. When this card is used as a link material for a Trickstar, you can special it back from the graveyard, and then it's banished when it leaves the field. It just helps you get monsters on the field. You can go into Bloom for free, and then get this. So you basically get a free Link 1 monster on the field just by summoning this card. So I think it's really good. I'm not sure... It's the problem with it is that Bloom isn't level 1, it's Link 1, so you can't really use it for Xyz summons. But it's good for link climbing, which is really good. Next, we play triple DD Savant Kepler. You play this for the same reason that you played in Pendulum Magicians. It's a free plus. So you summon it, you search your contract, and then your contract searches, instead for Thomas in Pendulum Magicians, you search for DD Lamia, which is this card right here. So we play 4 different breaks. We play 2 DD Lamia. 3 is too much. So I think 2 is a really good number. So 2 is really good. You just special it from your hand by discarding a DD card or a contract. And then you can special it from hand or graveyard. A contract on field or in hand, as well as like a DD monster in hand. So if you have an extra Kepler that's dead in your hand, you can just discard it to special the Lamia, which is amazing. It's a really good toolbox card. It gets banished when it leaves the field after that, but it's still really good. Next we played Glow Up Bulb and a Dotscaper. They're both hard ones per turn, or I guess hard ones per duels effects, which kind of makes them really bad, but they're also really good. You always want to go for the Glow Up Bulb first because you have the chance to mill the Dotscaper. So it's only ever happened like once or twice, but I've like sent the Gloat Bulb and then milled Dotscaper, and you got 2 free monsters. It's insane when you do that, but it almost never comes up. But always remember to do Gloat Bulb and then Dotscaper, not the other way around. Dotscaper is probably one of the worst bricks in the deck, but it's still really, really good. Next we play 3 Where Art Thou? So this, if you control level 1, you can search a level 1, and then if you don't normal summon it during this turn, you take 1,000 damage. A lot of the time, you just search out your missing Lyrilusc card that you don't have in hand, or maybe even a brick if you are going to go through Nightmare plays, or you search out for like a Kinkabio, depending on the situation, or I don't know. It's very, very good, just depending on the situation that you're in. Or you can even search for like a Desperate Confit, but you don't. You take the 2,000 damage because you special it. Next we play Triple Instant Fusion. So this card gets to your Thousand Eyes Restrict, or it gets to your Lyrilusc dude, which we'll show in a moment. It's amazing card. No way that I would not play less than 3. Next we play Triple Contract with the Gate. This is also like a kind of a brick. I mean, it is, but it isn't, because you can just search out Kepler, and then Kepler searches back for another contract. So you still get pluses when you draw it. It just sucks to draw it, but it's still so good to like not run at 3. Next we play Two Pot of Desires. You could play 3 of this. I just didn't. I guess I didn't feel like playing it. I probably should, but you know. Next, the rest of the deck is just one-ofs. We played 1 Light Stage to search out the 1 Trickstar or what is it called? Trickstar, I don't know, the level 1 dude. So you search out that, and then it can lock down back row. I could probably play like 2 or 3 of these, honestly, but I just don't. I don't know why. And then we played 1 for 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Monster Reborn, and 1 Soul Charge. So Foolish Burial is really good, because it can count as like a Lyrilusc guy if you have Turquoise Wobbler in hand. And Soul Charge is just okay, because you want to conduct your battle phase, but if you know that you can't push for game, this card is insane, because you can just make a huge Nightmare board and probably U-board your opponent. It's kind of crazy to say, but yes, this deck can extra link your opponent. It's really kind of hard to sometimes, but it's definitely possible. And then 1 for 1 is really, really good, because you can summon you can discard like Gloat Bulb or Dotscaper or Lamia, any of those cards, and then you can summon the not turquoise. You could summon turquoise, I guess, but you summon the one that searches. This guy right here, Cobalt. So this one searches for any Lyrilusc card. You usually go for that off of the 1 for 1, and it's really, really good because you don't lose any advantage. It's a really, really nice play. That's it for the main deck. It should be 40 cards. Let's see where the extra deck is. Here it is. So the extra deck is very, very interesting. So we have like some starters. So Link Crevo, Trickstar Bloom, and Underclock Taker. These are all starters. They're just cards that are low link and they point down. A lot of the time, you could play like Space Insulator instead of Underclock Taker, but I think Underclock Taker is just better in this deck because you don't play normal monsters. But you need a card to point down to begin with. So that's why Link Crevo is really good. That's why Trickstar Bloom's really good. That's why Underclock Taker is really good. All these cards are just your starter cards that you point down. The reason that you want them to point down is for your nightmares. So mostly just these two. You go for these two first, depending on if your opponent has a Spell or Trap or a monster that you want to get rid of the field. And then you can draw because they'll be co-linked with the Underclock Taker or the Link Crevo or Bloom or whichever you summon. And so they'll be co-linked, you'll get the draw, and you'll get destroy an opponent's monster. So it's slowly getting advantage over your opponent, and you're getting more monsters on the field. So it's really good. Also go into Goblin, because this is really, really good, because it doesn't matter which way, if you go for Phoenix first or for Cerberus first, because then you can normal summon to this zone right here, and it's insane. Just getting a Goblin, especially getting like if you have a Kinkabio in hand, you could just get free pluses. So it's really, really solid. Same thing, Nightmare Unicorn, just to shuffle a card on the field. You can just keep going. You can use even your Goblin. If you have like a Cerberus or whatever and you have another level 1, you can just use your Goblin and your other level 1 and just go into Unicorn, and then Unicorn can shuffle a card on field. pretty crazy, especially because these guys are all like protected each other. If you get all 4 of them on field, you can just draw 4 cards during your draw phase because they'll all be linked, co-linked with Unicorn. So you get 4 cards for free for drawing, like for your draw phase. It's insane. Unicorn is probably one of the better ones. You play 1 Saryuja Skull Dread. This is just to get, honestly, to push for damage and to make your hands more reliable, like really good. Because sometimes you'll draw into like 2 copies of the Trickstar guy or 2 copies of the DD guy or something like that. And so you'll have plenty of Keplers in hand that you can just send back. And then you'll probably draw into like instant fusions that you haven't used yet, or other special summon cards that you just haven't gone into, which is why Saryuja is really good. You just draw 4, fix your hand, make the big Lyrilusc guy, and just attack for game. The plus 300 is actually really relevant. I'll get to that in a second. The last link we play is Boral Sword. Sometimes you can't put enough damage with just your Xyz monsters, so you want to push for damage with this guy. Really good. Saves you a lot of games. So I definitely, if you don't have a Boral Sword, just play Borreload. It's basically the same thing, but this guy comes up more often than Borreload does. So that's why I play it. For the Xyz monsters, Assembled Nightingale is the boss monster of the extra deck. This card is insane. If this card is like in literally any other deck, the deck will just be broken. It's just, this deck is just kind of weird and like, I don't know. But it's so good. So it gains 200 attack for each material, and it can attack directly, and it can attack however many materials that it has. So if it has 5 materials, it gains 1000 attack, 2 for each material, and then it can attack 5 times and directly, if you want to attack directly, obviously. And then during either player's turn, it's a quick effect. You can detach a material, and Lyrilusc cards cannot be destroyed for the rest of the turn by battle or by card effects, and you don't take any battle damage. So even if they're able to like kaiju this or something, you still won't take battle damage. You literally do not die if you have this on field. It is insane. This card is just beautiful. Sometimes you can just make it by itself turn 1, say, alright, pass. If you like happen to go first, they'll try and like attack it or whatever, you'll just detach, and then they just can't kill it, and you can just keep like swinging directly and stuff. The 300 is really relevant. So if this card has 5 materials, you can attack for 5000 damage, which is just okay. It doesn't like OTK them or anything. The next turn, say they like try and kill it, you have to detach material, you'll be down to 4 materials, and then the next turn you'll attack for 31, which is game. So 5 materials by itself is game. And then if you play it with Saryuja, 4 materials is game, because it'll gain 400 for each, making it 800 plus the 300 from Saryuja. You attack for 1100 4 times, and then you detach. It goes down to 27, or like 900 attack, 3 for each material plus the 300, 900. Attack 3 times, that's 27. So 44 plus 27, which is 61, I believe. And then the next turn, you can attack for 18, I think. I think that's right. I'm pretty sure I'm doing the math right. I just know 4 materials with this, with the Saryuja is game. 5 materials by itself is game. So if you can do that, that's basically the goal. You win the game. If you get 6 on it, it's like over regardless. It's just such an insane card. So just remember things like that. Recital Starling is really good. You play this sometimes after you go into Saryuja if you want like if you can't trigger your Sapphires in hand because you need a Wing Beast on field. So you just make it with 2, like a Global Mondotscaper or something. You just make this, detach, search for another Sapphire Swallow, special to 2 Sapphire Swallows, and then make this with like 4 materials. This also can increase Saryuja's attack by 600. That's usually what it's used for. And it also has an effect that can come up sometimes where all the battle damage that you take is also like inflicted to your opponent. So if your opponent attacks with a 3000 attack monster or something like that, both of you will take the 3000 damage. It's actually really good. You can sometimes catch your opponent off guard and just summon this guy and just attack. Say if they're at like 1500 life points and they have like a 3000 attack monster, you just summon this. They won't even see it coming. You'll just attack into their monster and you'll take 3000 points of damage, and then they will too, and you'll win the game. Really broken. I love it. Last 2 cards is instant fusion targets. So we play this card, which didn't get banned, so might as well take advantage of it. We're playing literally the only deck that can play this card, so, you know. It should be banned, honestly, not because of how good it is in this deck, but because of how degenerate it is in other decks. But we might as well play it. So basically you just summon this, inflict your opponent with 500, and then you can use it because it's a Lyrilusc name. You can also use it to summon your sapphires from your hand. You can trigger those, and you can also get like send it to graveyard for Link Rebo, then summon like the turquoise, and then turquoise can summon it back and inflict 500 again. You can just keep doing the 500 damage while you keep making, you know, level 1 plays. The Thousand Eyes Restrict is just to get over some cards. If you draw this plus like, if you draw Instant Fusion plus Kinkabio, you can just take 2 of your opponent's monsters for free. It's really, really nice. So I love that play right there. Plus you get like a free Nightmare, which is really, really good. So moving on to side deck. This isn't as important, but Twin Twisters are really, really good. You can send like a Lyrilusc in hand if you have another turquoise in hand, then summon the Lyrilusc from grave. It's really, really nice. For hand traps, we played 1 Ogre, 1 Ash, and 2 Bell. I don't know ratios for hand traps for my like locals meta, so like I'm just throwing these in for fun. Who cares? We played an Infinite Impermanence because we can. Triple Strike, it's like the only good trap card that's like an actual trap card. Infinite Impermanence, I don't think it's really a trap card. It's more of like a hand trap than anything. And Evenly Matched, which is also kind of not really a hand trap. Or it's not really a trap card, it's more of a hand trap than anything. But that's it. I think that's like 14 in the side deck. I don't know. That's just an idea of what I play for this deck. I don't have... these are like black sleeves and these are purple, but you know my side deck's all messed up. But yeah, that's it. That's it for the deck. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. I'm working on a ton of decks, so like I don't know, man. I got like 5 or 6 deck ideas that I have yet to build, so I'll come up with something new next week as well. Thank you guys for watching, and if you guys want to see like a combo tutorial with this deck or something like that, I am more than happy to make one. It's just really, really crazy with all these different plays that you can do with this deck. Hopefully I explained it pretty well. I'm not sure if I really did. You can rewatch this video or something if you're kind of confused, or just leave a comment, and I respond to every comment that is like a question, obviously. With that said, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next week.